Hey, what's up guys? Auto Fanatics. So, haven't done an Alfa Romeo mod video in really long time, especially a brake pad video. So, today's video, we're going to be talking about my full review of the Porterfield R4-S compound. I got them on the car for about a month. We got the front and the rears. And while the car's in the shop, I just want to show you, we have in the back a Rosa Magma F8 Tributo Spider. And my car's Rosso Etna. So look how similar these two paints are. Now Ferrari charges you, I believe, 50 or 60,000 for this type of upgraded paint, and Alfa Romeo charges you 2,500. But it's kind of cool to have both of the cars in the shop and to kind of see how close and similar these colors are. I washed the car about a week ago, and a number of things that I'll talk about when we go on the POV drive video is these wheels. And actually, you know, I like the bright finish because it actually shows the brake pad dust and everything else. You can see inside there, we got some dust and on the calipers, but for the most part, the rims are really clean. The only spot that I'm seeing a lot of dirt and accumulation is, of course, on the rear barrels. For some reason, on the 2023, on this particular car, the brake-by-wire bias is more dominant in the rear of the car. I don't know why. That was like the way it was with the OEM pads as well. So regarding these Porterfield pads, this is one of the first times I've ever tried this type of pad on a street car. Usually Porterfield is predominantly known for their track pads, very aggressive track pads. And driving on the street, you don't really want to put those on the car. Another awesome pad here, these are the DS 2500s. I've been using a lot of these on the Ferraris, and I actually tested them on my black 2018. Awesome pad. They're just really expensive and really hard to get. So I was doing some research on brake pads, and I came across a GT500 forum, the new GT500, like the 2020 to 2022, and guys were raving about this. Now, if you know the GT500, it's got over 700 horsepower, it's over 4,000 pounds, and they were raving on the low dust and the insane performance upgrade from OEM. So when I put two and two together, I'm like, you know what? Let me go do a search. I don't mind spending the money to do upgrades and test stuff out. So whereas a DS 2500, just a front only, will cost you about $450 to get those front pads, I paid $199 for the fronts and I think $159 or $169 for the rears. So it's under $400 to get the front and rears, and also these pads come with the brake pad sensors built in. With this car with intelligent brake-by-wire system, these things are kind of crazy. So years ago, I did a bunch of videos, the Hawk HP Plus, incredible pad. The only problem with that pad is you get a lot of dust and you will get a lot of squeal. Okay, that's one drawback on that pad. And then I did a bunch of videos on the FERODOs. I did a bunch of videos on the EBC. Now, FYI, because a lot of people have been commenting on my old EBC videos, when 2020, a lot of things have happened with a lot of these brake pad manufacturers in Europe, and they had to change and remove a lot of copper and other components from the brake pads to become more eco-compliant. And I will tell you now, the new versions of EBCs absolutely suck. I don't recommend them. There's nothing about that pads between the yellows, the reds, and the blues. I just don't like them on any car, so we're not recommending them anymore. So I will tell you on the Porterfield R4Ss, this is categorized on their website. There's not a lot of information that I could find regarding the temperature range and the coefficient level of friction, but they're claiming this as a high-performance, very aggressive street pad and autocross pad. Now, what's autocross? You're at low speeds and you're jabbing on the brakes constantly. So this pad can cope with the repetitive abuse of the stop and go, which now I live in New York, this is probably going to be a great option. So they do not recommend this pad to be used on the road course. I'm not sure why, but they have other Porterfield, other compounds that are specifically designed for the road course. But how many people, like a lot of us aren't taking these QVs on the road course, but we want an upgraded pad because I think the OEM pads are mediocre. The newer cars are definitely better than the older cars, but they're still mediocre, and I'm always looking to do an upgrade. I think the next step, we're going to be doing some GIRODISC rotors probably after the holidays, but enough of that. Let's go strap the camera in. We're going to go for a POV drive, and I'm going to specifically tell you guys about the Porterfield R4S compound on the Giulia Quadrifoglio, and if you guys are looking for not only an OEM replacement pad, but an upgraded pad, and it's not going to break the bank, I'm going to tell you, this pad is absolutely incredible. I am so impressed with it that I waited to put about 1,000 miles on the car before I decided to shoot the video. So let's get the camera strapped in. We'll go for a drive. We'll talk more about the Porterfield. And if anybody's got questions or comments or has used these pads, post them in the comments below. I'd love to hear other people that have feedback, especially on this particular vehicle, because the brake system, you know, every car that I've driven, they all feel different depending on the shoes you wear, the pads you wear, the temperature. These things are totally bonkers, but we'll go talk some more about it, and I'll emphasize a little bit more about the upgrades that I've noticed so far. All right, guys, so we're in the QV. We're in natural mode. I'm just pulled over in a parking lot quick. So the pads don't have a lot of heat in them, and this is one thing I want to kind of show you guys in the video, is how the initial bite is when they're not warmed up. And you could just see it there. The ABS kicked in. My OEM pads wouldn't do that. The only time this car or any of my QVs, because I had a bunch of them, would ever activate the ABS was with the FERODO DS2500s, the Hawk HP Pluses, the CARBOTECH XP8, XP10s. Unfortunately, when I sold the 2018, I had the CARBOTECHs on there. Those were like over $600. And I threw out the OEM pads, unfortunately, and I needed to get rid of that car to trade it in for the M3. So those expensive CARBOTECHs went with that car. So whoever got that car, if somebody still has it, you got a lot of CARBOTECH pads in that thing. So we're going to switch into dynamic. So we're doing 60. Well, we're doing quite a bit above the speed limit. Okay, but there's nobody on the road. Okay, look at the way that thing just drops down to speeds. So the one thing that I love about this pad, and I have to say, out of all the pads that I've driven and tested over the years with the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, the Porterfield R4-S is by far the best street pad that I've ever tried. It just seems to work. It seems like this pad compound and the intelligent braking system and the dynamics of this car are just perfectly matched together. That's where sometimes you put an aggressive pad in the car and the back of the car might get unstable, the car might get loose on you, but not these pads. They just feel so damn good. So look, coming to a stop again. I mean, that's the second repetitive hard stop that I did. And the more you do it, the harder and more progressive the bite gets. So the one thing that I always disliked about this car, and a lot of McLarens and a lot of cars that have like brake-by-wire, is you have to put a lot of leg pressure into the pedal to get the car to really bite. Now, I'm comparing that to cars like an AMG or a BMW M car where the brakes are really aggressive. You know, those pads have a lot of carbon in them, and the German cars just have a very, very strong initial bite. And I just prefer that feel in a car. And the Alfa Romeo never really had that. The Maserati MC20 doesn't have that. The McLarens don't have that. And I think it's designed, you know, to be more pressure put into it for the racetrack. But on the street, I prefer a little bit more of an aggressive initial bite and a more progressive modulation in the pedal. So look, we're going 60, almost 60. I mean, look at that. It's just so progressive. It's so linear, the way these pads are slowing this car down. And they feel balanced. That's the number one thing that I love about this pad, is that some pads that I've tested could feel like an on and off switch, especially like a CARBOTECH, an XP8 or an XP10. That's a track focused pad, and you're not really supposed to use those pads on the street. Now, with the intelligent brake-by-wire system, these cars are putting out a lot of PSI at the calipers. So if you have a real aggressive pad like that, you could actually very easily over-brake the car and cause the car to go out of control, depending on what you're doing with the car. So that's why, for me driving these things for about a month now, I absolutely love them. Look, we're doing 65. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible. I hope the POV footage could capture. I mean, I think we're shooting in 30 frames per second. But so what I'm doing, I'm trying to get up to speed, and I'm trying to repetitively stop again, just so I could kind of highlight in the video that these pads are not fading at all. And that really goes down to Porterfield mentioning that these are really designed for hard, heavy street use and autocross. And both of those scenarios are going to be very hard in the brakes repetitively over and over and over again. again, I mean, they're just absolutely incredible. There's no noise. You guys can hear it in the video. Again. So, guys, it's just a quick little overview video on the Porterfield pads. You guys can see it in the video footage. The absolute best street pad I have ever tested on the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio platform. I 100% recommend these pads. I am not sponsored. I bought these pads full retail. And if you guys are out there, you maybe have a 2017 or a 2020 or whatever, you want to do a brake upgrade, I'm going to see with the GIRODISC rotors. Now with the GIRODISC rotors, we've got lighter rotational mass, and we have slotted grooves that are going to bite into the pad even more. I think it's going to be even better and stronger of a bite, but considering how good these work with the OEM rotors, my car's got over 7,000 miles now, and I was a little tired of the OEM pads, particularly the dust. The rears dust out a lot. So what we're getting here, we're getting a lower price point, better modulation, better bite, less brake dust buildup, and they also have the OEM sensor wires. Like a lot of you guys, complain that a lot of the high performance pads don't have OEM sensor wires. I think that's irrelevant because none of us that are really into cars and take care of our cars are ever going to drive these pads or any brake pad down to the backing plates. But just to let you guys know, they're in there. You don't have to tape up the wires like I showed you in videos years ago, but I will tell you, this is the absolute best and my favorite pad. I just hope that nothing changes with this, because I hate to put this video out. Like, I did the EBC yellow pads, I think that was 5 years ago. Yeah, it definitely was 5 or 6 years ago. And I raved about how good the EBC yellows were, and then they changed the compound and now they suck. And people are commenting on my video like, oh, should I go for these or not? And I'm like responding like, no, I don't recommend those pads. They're just not good anymore. So that's one thing. I just hope that nothing changes with these pads. I hope everything stays the same and we continue to have a really, really good compound with this R4-S, because I'm very, very impressed with them so far. And we're not even in race mode. So if you guys know, with the DNA modes, every mode has different brake feel, okay, in terms of the pedal and the bias. So now we're in race mode. I mean, it's just, yeah, the ABS is going to kick in a little bit more aggressively. But, man, this thing feels absolutely incredible. I mean, you could drop the speeds from like 70, 80 down to like 20 miles an hour in, we're talking seconds or milliseconds. That's how incredible these pads are. So, like I said, guys, haven't done a video on an Alfa Romeo mod in a while. Thanks for watching. Any questions, comments, post below. Anybody wants to talk more about them, reach out to me through the Auto Fanatic website. We'll talk some more. And stay tuned for more content. And I'll see you guys in the next one soon. Take care, guys.